Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper One, and yes, I'm going to bring you another video on finances and the debt. To me, it's very important. To me, it's really good information. It's not having a news story and you sort of interpret what you think is going to happen, but this is facts. These are numbers. Let me show you. Last night, it went up $57 billion. In 2-week period from July 13th to July 27, we had a 60 billion jump, a 60 billion jump, and a 57. Now every other day between that, we had about a 2.2, 2.4 billion dollar increase. So in 2-week period, we have gone up 177 billion dollars of new debt. 177 billion. So we're standing roughly about 32 trillion, 661 billion, 812 million. If you look at the numbers, this number right here is the debt per taxpayer if you divided it out. So in a 2-week period, we had a $681 increase per taxpayer. That's astronomical. Ask yourself, what did you get for an additional $681 being in debt? So these are numbers. Why are these numbers going up? Let me show you a chart. And I spared no expense for you guys, and I gave you a chart. This is the 3-month Treasury bill. So this is, the government needs to borrow money and they issue the bonds or the Treasury bills. And this is the short one. The government loves this short one, but this is what's killing us. In April 2020, it was approximately 0, maybe 0.03, 0.04. Basically, from April 2020 to January 2022, it was close as you can get to 0. So that means the government was borrowing money with no fear of the interest. So they borrowed a ton of money. As you can see, starting in 2022, the rate kept going. Today, the rate is 5.28%. 5.28. So for this long stretch, we were paying 0. Now it's catching up to us. But the problem is, of the $32 trillion debt, about 45% of it is in very, very short term. Most of it is going to roll over or expire or need to be redeemed in a 2-year period. So we have 45% of this coming due rapidly, and every day it's more and more is coming due. But within a 2-year period, 45%. So a lot of it's at pretty much 0% interest, and right now it's 5.28. That's a problem, because as interest rates rise, it's blowing our budget out of the water. We're borrowing money to pay the interest. That's how bad it's getting. And this is a few reasons. First of all, the U.S. has pretty much weaponized the U.S. dollar. So if a country does not go along with our plan, we punish them financially. We don't let them do business. We don't trade with them. We don't let them conduct business through the SWIFT. So they have to look for an alternative. And they're finding that alternative. They're creating the alternative. And that's basically going to be the BRICS nation. And they're trying to come up with another way to not use the dollar. Now, how is this going to happen? When is it going to happen? I believe it's going to drag out, because the dollar's just not going to die unless we have a collapse in the economy, or a collapse of confidence, or we have a war. So I believe it's going to take years. I hope it's going to take years. I pray it's going to take years, because every day gives you, if you're smart and you're looking at the numbers, the ability to prepare for economic hard times. We're not going to stop economic hard times, because our politicians are definitely sold us out. Now, as we go into a recession, or we get worse into the recession, what also happens is tax revenue, the federal government's tax revenue, drops. And if it drops, that means they have to borrow more money. If we go into recession, people lose their jobs, the government will be needing to expend more money to keep people afloat. That's normally what happens. They also might say, we need to throw a bunch of money at this economy to get revved back up. Right now they're trying to slow it down. The Federal Reserve tries to control it. I would rather free markets control it. And if you had free markets control it, it ultimately would be better. But we're manipulating it, we're controlling it, so when we do collapse, the collapse is going to be much worse. So, you say, Dave, I'm sick and tired of these numbers. You're witnessing hard evidence that we will collapse. You cannot argue with $177 billion of increased debt in 2-week period. Increased debt. So, tax revenues are going down, interest rates are going up, but you got the perfect storm. Just keep prepping. You can't really worry about this. I like to keep you informed so you know what's going on, and maybe you can use this to talk to someone and say, hey, in the last 2 weeks we went $177 billion more in debt. Some of you in the comments say, Dave, it's just numbers, don't worry about it. It's like blowing up a balloon, and you're trying to make it as big as possible for the kids. They want it bigger, and what do they say? Both of them, when I blow up a balloon from bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger. Eventually, I have to use common sense and say, no, if I blow it any bigger, it's going to blow up in my face. And that's what's happening. It's going to eventually pop. And when it pops, when you got a junky old balloon after it pops, it's pretty much worthless. It's actually, I think, a safety hazard because a small kid grab it, put it in their mouth, got a choking issue. So, that balloon's going to pop. And there's no way to fix that. That's why they're trying to come up with a new system, be it a digital dollar. They have to come up with a solution. So, we're in big trouble. Just keep prepping. Just keep preparing. Keep becoming self-sufficient. Stocking a couple cases of extra vegetables is awesome. You need to do that. Growing a garden, positioning yourself, moving. You might say, Dave, I can't move. A lot of people say, I can't get out of the city because I got work, I can take care of elderly parents. Maybe you could move in the city to a safer location. Yes, it might buy you time. It might buy you a few weeks of where you could seriously work on your defenses or work on preparing for a security issue. But if you can't move to the country, can't move way out in the suburbs, maybe you can relocate where you are to a safer location, or a location where you might have a bigger yard, or you can grow more vegetables. You could do something. Only you can decide that. But sorry for another video, but I'm gonna pound it, because this is the collapse happening. You're witnessing it. Thanks for watching.